Hi guys, I'm Maylin Dovan, certified athletic therapist and founder of Rehab-U Movement and Performance Therapy. We're going to talk about functional positions of the shoulder that you need to own. In my line of work, I see a lot of dysfunctional shoulders resulting from a lot of overhead movement. Overhead movement requires, obviously, good movement of the scapula. Now, when we're talking about elevation, so full flexion of the shoulder, we need the scapula to upwardly rotate. And the one requirement for overhead work or overhead loading is to have that full mobility, that full upward rotation of the scapula. When we talk about holding things overhead, like carrying things, or a wider grip like a snatch position, now we need to take that mobility and voluntarily limit it a little bit to create stability. It's kind of like bracing for a deadlift. It's the same thing as saying, I'm going to take my spine mobility and I'm going to voluntarily limit it to brace and limit that movement so that I can be stable for a deadlift or a squat. Okay, so same principle. So one, we need full upward rotation, and then when we need to create that stability, now we need a subtle balance of upward rotation and a little bit of retraction and depression. Okay, so the two different positions, let's look at them. A regular press, so when we're talking about a strict barbell press, a push press, or when we're pressing, can you hold the bar up there for a second? Hold it up there. So when we're doing a regular press and the arms are close to the head, now we need that full upward rotation of the scapula. So we need the scapulae to fully upward rotate. And you can do a few reps for me there. So we're looking to see, does the scapula fully upward rotate? All right? You can put the barbell down for a second. In positions like a snatch or an overhead squat, or even when the arm is close to the head, but now we're in a carry position and we need to create stability, now that scapula needs to retract and depress slightly. So we're taking that full mobility and we're just limiting it a little bit to create a more stable base. So Mikael will take the bar in a snatch position and hold the bar overhead in a snatch. So now we have that little bit of upward rotation, of course, for our overhead position, but he's now got a little bit of retraction and depression so that he can create that stable base for his overhead movement. Okay, so those are the two different, you can put the barbell down, those are the two different functional positions of the shoulder. So two exercises I like to use to create awareness for those two different positions, the mobility position and the more stability position, are two variations of a wall slide. So the first one is a full wall slide where Mikael will start with forearms up at the wall. Now what he'll do is he'll slide the arms up and slightly out all the way, and he can let the forearms come off and there. So at the top position, he's reaching up and then he's sliding back down. So what I'm getting here, as he comes up, I get that full upward rotation of the scapula, upper trapezius contributing to that, and serratus anterior. Okay? Second wall slide that I'll use more for that stability position where I need a subtle balance of upward rotation but a little bit of retraction, depression to get that stable position. I will use a wall slide where we don't let his forearms leave the wall. So his forearms stay in contact with the wall. So I get that little upward rotation that's required, but he's got a bit keeping the scapulae stacked a little bit more. All right, so these are two exercises that we can use. You can stop in an activation sequence to kind of create that awareness of what it feels like to have the full mobility of the scapula for overhead, and then voluntarily limit that mobility a little bit, retraction and depression, to create a stable base for carrying or a wider overhead movement.